Time to hack the Matrix. Alright. Yeah, I love that cyberpunky trash ass theme. But alright. So yeah, alright, here I am again. Alex Mack here with another Maniacal weekly thing that I'm doing here. Try to, get eyes on somehow, promote the book, promote the company, and show that we're alright. We're trying to do something decent here. Well, yeah, anyway, how you doing? My name is Alex Mack again. And yeah, I don't know, we're gonna chat about some books. There was a ton of trailers that dropped. I guess I can probably do that over on the YouTube channel. And yeah, we're gonna talk about some movies and stuff. I think I saw Black Phone and the Sandman fairly recently, and I can go over that with y'all. We got some Pigskin. The 2022 season then kicked off. I just it's Monday night. It's Monday, September 12th. Yeah, so it was Monday Night Football. We just saw Geno Smith actually beat Russell Wilson. I have expected, sometime before halftime, Russell Wilson would have old Pete Carroll in the sharpshooter or something. I don't. Yeah. So for some reason, people that leave his team, that leave the Seahawks, they don't like Pete Carroll that much. For some reason, I don't know why. They can't wait to flip him off or just abruptly just leave the team. I don't know what's up. Yeah, that was a shocker. It was a 1-point game. It was 17-16, something like that. That was fairly. Yeah, I wouldn't have called that. I wouldn't have called that. You know what I'm saying? Actually, there was a couple of games that I wouldn't have called. If I was a betting man, I would have packing my bags and getting out of town. I want Louis and the boys to come collecting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, New York. Yeah, the Giants actually beat the Titans. So I wouldn't have called that. That was a 1-point game. I wouldn't have called that. Yeah, I'd actually put some money down for on the Titans on that one. Yeah, Minnesota. Now, yeah, I'd have had to skip town on that one. I probably would have put a couple of stacks down on the Packers beating Minnesota. I was watching it with my dad, and we just was flipping back and forth on the games. And it was like halftime. It was like 21-0 on Minnesota. What? Like what? Damn, bro. I think Aaron Rodgers smoked the wrong pack or something. He either smoked the wrong one or the right one. I guess it's a matter of perspective on that one. And then I have my Commanders. Yeah, little Timmy and the Commanders. That name. It just rings like a JV. Like a 7 and under Pop Warner League to me. Okay. It's growing on me though. It's growing on me. Like the more time goes by, the more it's on it. But yeah, we actually won 28-22. It looks like, and yeah, we look like a functional team for once. We actually look like a competent football team. Yeah, it was Curtis Samuel. He was all over the field. Man, he was like the only one Carson was throwing to, really. He was catching passes. He was juking dudes, hurdling, spin moving, going left, going right, saving kitten from trees, catching babies. That dude was doing everything out there. I was at a certain point, I'm like, okay, yeah, go on the sideline. Because I think he just came back. I think he was injured last year, and he just came back, and I'm just like, okay, yeah. We know he's good. Now throw it to somebody else. Christ, he was for good first half. He was all over the place. Carson Wentz was like the biggest question mark that we had here in the DMV. He was Carson Wentz. He was pretty Carson Wentz. Nothing that spectacular. Even though but the thing is, he's a solid QB. He's like a really solid QB. He's something that we haven't had in DC in a while. Yeah, I mean he didn't blow anybody's socks off, but he threw 4 touchdowns, though. So, I mean, four touchdowns, 2 picks, 313 yards. I mean, hey, if we can get that, like on a consistent basis, hey, these old Commanders. They're going to Super Bowl. They're going all the way. There, I said it. No. No, I hate those like fair weather fans that like off of one game, they're just like, Super Bowl, we're going to bowl. Yep, win it all. That's what we doing. Nah. If I can predict one thing, 10-7, maybe a wild card, maybe. We'll see. But I tell you what, that defense is the team, because I think half, Chase Young is still out, and well, who was it that went out? Was it Jonathan Allen that went out the game? I think around the second quarter or so, and they were still like they were all up in Trevor Lawrence's grill too, like damn near every like snap, every time he stepped back, like yeah, they were coming. So I mean that everybody's talking about Carson Wentz, but that was the real like kind of impressive thing to watch out there on Sunday. And I heard one of the commentators say something about Doug Peterson, the Jaguars head coach, had this nickname for Trevor Lawrence. He called him what do you call him? Ichabod Crane. I thought that was funny. I got to chuckle. I could kind of see it. I think it's on the neck. Like Trevor Lawrence had that long, like gangly neck. Well, what else was? Oh yeah, and the old Dallas Cowgirls looked terrible. Terrible. They had the Sunday night game against the GOAT. You know, Brady didn't look all that hot either, but you know, he's trying to save his marriage, so you know, you can't. I mean, cut him a little bit of slack. You know, I tell you, women, they can't. You just ain't gonna win with him. Like, he's the greatest of all time. He has like 30 Super Bowl rings. You know, he wants one more year. If the guy wants to go out on a stretcher, look, man, can you do that for him? It's all about you. It's all about you. But yeah, and Dak, I think he hurt his thumb. I think he said he broke his thumb or something like that. He went out in like the fourth quarter. Honestly, I think he broke it earlier in the game too, because he looked terrible. Like his balls didn't have any air in it. You know, he was missing guys wide open. Like threw a couple of picks, I think. So I think I would say he was probably just trying to grind it out, just grinding it out for like the whole game, and just like back when it was like they had no chance, like right, you know, at the time when they had just no shot. I think they just he just went to the sidelines and said, "Yep, all right, I got to call it," you know. Yeah, but you know what all those cowgirl fans are going to say? Super Bowl, we're going to bowl. We're gonna win it all. Yeah, all right. So yeah, that was week 1. It was a fun one. I was entertained. All right, yeah, enough of that. Okay, so.
Travel with me to a dark and isolated farm located deep in the heart of St. Mary's County, Maryland, where the only African-American farmer and his family are being tormented by something stalking around their property. Can they survive? Can they protect the farm that is their very livelihood? And can they do it with their sanity intact? Are you in the mood for dark, isolated rural horror? Are books full of ghastly green goo and reanimated corpses your jam? Then check out Mulch, the eerie inaugural novella from Maniacal Books, available today on Amazon Kindle and mcsbooks.com.
think we can go over onto my book selection for this week. What I want to talk about this week. I know exactly what I want to talk about this week. It is called The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle. This is a really interesting book in a couple of ways. It's a novella and is very highly kind of based off of H.P. Lovecraft. One of his weird fiction horror stories. It's got a lot of like his elements in the stories, but the twist here being that it is written by a black author, actually. Well, I think technically he's mixed biracial, mixed race, but you know what they say. One drop. Came upon this guy, Victor LaValle, who excellent author too. He has a bunch of books out. I've only read about 2 of them so far, and he quickly became one of my favorite authors already, just off the jump. From his first book, the Ballad of Black Tom. It's mainly due to his relation to H.P. Lovecraft as well. So I think for the most part, a lot of people already know that H.P. Lovecraft is he's problematic. He's pretty problematic. He is a genius author that nobody can take that away from him. You know what I mean? Because one of my favorite stories ever actually is one of his. The Dunwich Horror is one of my absolute favorite stories, and it's got all the good Lovecraft staples. It's got elder gods. It's got this the Necronomicon. And it's got this weird hybrid elder god creature in there. What was his name? Whatley. Old Whatley. Wilbur. Yeah, it's got this Wilbur Whatley, the creature in there. It's a book that I read years ago and it just captured my imagination, and it's what really kind of pulled me into like the whole like elder god Cthulhu mythos, like the elder ones, and that whole thing, that whole universe. I really loved it. Fell hard for it, and then I started looking into H.P. Lovecraft, the author, and it was a blow. Oh yeah, H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, he's a huge racist, raving racist. Yeah, it's kind of hard to sweep that under the rug, kind of hard to separate, the art from the artist, knowing that he kind of hates you and your whole kind. There it is. But that's the truth of it. And the tragedy of that is like it really does taint his work. It is weird knowing that a mind that can create all that is also a mind that can harbor such hatred. How did I find about Victor LaValle? I think I was going down that whole like rabbit hole. There was some video on YouTube, I'm sure, and I was looking. It was like a panel about just that, how to handle H.P. Lovecraft, the modern time kind of thing. And I think Victor LaValle was it was Victor LaValle and like about 3 other people on the panel, but he was like the only person of color on the whole panel. Yeah, so I looked into Victor LaValle and I found this book, The Ballad of Black Tom. I picked it up and on Kindle and on Audible too. And I was reading. This was back in 2016, 17, something like that. I was still working in the city. Man, this book is amazing. It kind of blew me away. I became an instant fan of Victor LaValle. He was the one author that kind of knocked Joseph Delaney off my top favorite author list. He was there for years. All right, so what is this book about? So Ballad of Black Tom. It is this takes place back in like the 1920s Harlem, so back in like Renaissance era Harlem. It's about a kind of a street performer, or just like a kind of a street hustler named Tommy Tesler. Tommy Tesler. Yeah, I wanted Tesler. No, Tommy Tester. And he plays his guitar pretty much on the street. for like dollars or money. And he has like, I think he also has this kind of like factory job or mill job or some kind of like hard labor thing like that. But, it pays him like pennies on the dollar or something like that. And so he like street performs with his old guitar. It's him and his dad. And, he learned how to play the guitar from his dad, because his dad also plays, and so he kind of picked it up. One day he is performing, and this kind of wealthy white guy comes and says he loves his music and drops some coins in his guitar case or whatever, and sends him like an invitation to like the ritzy side of town, some ritzy part back in the day, but now is pretty hood. is like rough as hell over there now. Victor LaValle was writing in the story how the police would just harass you if you were just there, like when the sun was just starting to go down, like in that part, like any like black man like walking around in the streets in that neighborhood and the sun's going down, they just start harassing you off break. So there's like two cops just like following him, when he's going to this gig. Come to find out, without spoiling it or going into it, it's like this whole thing they're trying to raise the elder gods and things like that, and but Tommy somehow, some way gets the upper hand in the situation, and I will leave the rest up to you to read, to discover. Yeah, it is an excellent story. If you are any fan of Lovecraft at all, if you're into like the whole Cthulhu mythos at all, this book has something for you. It's not super long either. I've read it probably about like 3 times now. It's not super long. It's definitely something you can go back to every now and then, like every other year or so, just to kind of reread it. I'm personally going to say that it's kind of like a better version of a Lovecraft story, because it doesn't have the xenophobia and the racism and stuff like that in it. Yeah, so because if you've read the horror at Red Hook, he has an African American gentleman in the book that he just does not give glowing descriptions of. You know what I mean? And so you could totally see how somebody who wrote the horror at Red Hook can write something called On the Creation of Niggers. Yeah, I can totally see that. But yeah, it's totally my jam, totally my lane. It's weird fiction, it's horror, it's got like a black lead in it, it's in the voice of like a black author. This guy is like a huge inspiration to me. He's like one of my absolute favorite authors working today. And on top of that, he's even writing comic books. I think he's writing a run of Sabretooth. I hope it's still going. I haven't, my comic pile is like massive. I'm trying to work my way through it to get to that. Ballad of Black Tom, out of 5, this is a straight 5, straight fire. Just love it beginning to end. I've read it about 3 times already. I was just listening to it a couple weeks ago, like on the ride into work, in the car. Yeah, this is a book I'm probably never gonna put down. I'm always gonna pick it up and read it again, and I highly suggest it. Yeah, it's the Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle, 5 out of 5. Yes, sir. So this week I have the Sandman. I watched this a little while ago, a couple weeks ago, I think. I was actually supposed to do this on another podcast, but I'll go ahead and knock this out right here. Yeah, so this is available on Netflix. It had like 10 episodes to it, and then they added like an extra episode to it. It's like a two-parter. It's starring Tom Sturridge as the Sandman. Yeah, this it has the Netflix treatment. You know, they put a ton of money into it, ton of production into it. Yeah, it's fantasy. You know, it's kind of like dark fantasy. They spent the appropriate amount of effort to make sure it looks pretty good. It looks pretty sleek and like fantastical. I'm not that familiar with the Sandman comics, like the graphic novels. I haven't gotten to that yet, but I'm very familiar with John Constantine, who is in that realm. He's in that kind of DC Comics, Vertigo comics like realm. So the only times I really like read anything like in comics with the Sandman, it was in a John Constantine comic, because he like met up with him, or he was in that issue or whatever for some reason. And so Tom Sturridge as the Sandman, I don't know if he's powerful or how powerful he could be, because he, like, right off the break he gets captured. Like, so how powerful can the Lord of Dreams be if he can be captured by a regular dude? You know what I mean? I wouldn't actually say he's like weak or anything, but he does seem a little bit aloof at times, and just kind of like I don't know if it's gonna be a pun, but just kind of like sleepwalking through some of it a little bit. Every time he really kind of like bows up or gets serious or like fearsome is when somebody like messes up, or he has to come down hard on one of the characters or something like that. Yeah, he's not all that menacing. To me, at least, he wasn't like menacing or anything like that. And when he puts on his serious face, you know, when come down hard on a character because they didn't follow the rules or they did something, he has this his serious face, pretty comical in a way, because it just it just reminds me of like another movie I've seen. It always like he's playing another movie kind of. It looks like he's doing the Zoolander face to me for some reason, and I can't like right there, like that looks pure. You get. Yeah, that kind of took me out of it a little bit. It's a little bit, but like every time he got that serious face on, and he's like talking like real sternly, I was just like, oh, like, we in Zoolander again. We in Zoolander 3. Overall, he did a pretty good job. I'm just being dumb, but no, honestly, like most of the time, I'm like, why is he making that face? Like, you're doing the Zoolander face again. I would say the casting is on point. To me, the villains are the best part of the show. You know, we have like a lot of really good heavy hitters. Like Charles Dance is in the first one. David Thewlis is in like the second one. Gwendolyn Christie, Brienne of Tywin, or whatever that was in Game of Thrones. And they're all playing like the villains. They're all playing like the heels in this. Knock it out of the park. And I say like the first part and the second part, because this show is constructed differently, kind of. So it's not just most of their shows, like from episode 1 to 10, they're like a straightforward narrative. It's very faithful to the comics in the sense that it's broken up into like different stories. The 2 episodes would be like this, 2.5 episodes would be this story, and then it'll transition into like the next story in the next 2.5 episodes, and like so forth and so on. They're being super faithful to the comics, to like the original story in the comics, and so and it plays out like comic books, because you know comic books go on like different stories and different characters and different plots and things like that as the issues go on. And I like that. Like I think I kind of want all the rest of the comic book shows to kind of be like that. You can kind of ruin it's like shows or comic book like shows or movies because you're trying to stretch out this one plot point, you know, so the fit. We got to fill 8 episodes. We got to fill 8 hours. So we got to do like all one big narrative and stuff. But no, break it up, man. Break it up. Chop it up. We can handle this one. This like plot is here. The next plot is in the next step. The way they did it, especially because they did have like a character appear here and then they'll come back through here, just to kind of like chain to like connect all the stories, if that makes sense. And I know it's not like a one-to-one or like apples to apples comparison, but like just off the top of the head, Moon Knight on Disney Plus definitely should have had like this format, because oh my god, that show, they just stretched it out on this one plot. They just stretched it out so long, and it was just, man, come on, man, just move it. All right, yes. So my standouts on the show, some of my favorite aspects of it was, she's played by Kirby Howell Baptiste. Yeah, she actually knocked it out the park. She's just drop dead gorgeous in this too. That didn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? But there is a lot of controversy. Again, as always, with people changing races of characters, changing genders. In this case, they kind of changed the race. She's supposed to be like this very like really pale goth white chick, which I kind of get the aesthetic, because this is it's a Neil Gaiman like written story, so it's going to have like this very kind of like goth ethos to it. I've known of the Sandman for years, and he's always had this kind of goth kind of like a palette to him. But I think they did it, because I mean, hey, we could be goth too, you know what I mean? So I think they did a pretty good job with that. There's some purists out there that want to see like, they want to see it exactly how it was in the comics back in like the 90s, but you can't please everybody. She came in, she was amazing in this, knocked it out the park. They brought in Mark Hamill. Who is that? Mark Hamill came in and did the voice for this guy. Yeah, I don't even know who he's. I just call him the pumpkin guy. I don't even know who he is. So it was just distinct enough to where you kind of like, wait a minute, is that? And then until like this at the end where you see, Mark Hamill. I'm like, okay, it was Mark Hamill. Okay. I wasn't lunching, I wasn't tripping, but okay. Patton Oswalt, one of my favorites, one of my absolute favorites. Patton Oswalt was in here. He was playing the Raven. He did the voice of the Raven, Matthew. To me, he always kind of elevates the levity of anything he's in, like up a couple of notches. And yeah, I really liked him in this. He was really cool. Anytime I see any of my Doctor Who people in different shows and stuff like that, I have to shout them out. The Jenna Coleman was actually in the same Doctor Who series as Matt Smith from House of the Dragon on HBO Max right now. So yeah, shout out to Matt Smith, killing it over there. Yeah, I had to give out a special shout out to her. She's playing Joanna Constantine. Is she a descendant of John Constantine? I'm not sure. I don't think they explained it. I don't know this character that much. I know John Constantine definitely, because I actively read Hellblazer now. Yeah, but I've never heard of her before this show, so I don't know if it's just a gender swap, or maybe she might be an actual character in the comics. I don't know, but I was just happy to see her. So yeah, shout out to all my Doctor Who fans out there, with my favorite Doctor, by the way, Matt Smith, my absolute favorite Doctor to this day. But so Sandman, out of 5, I give it a 4. It's pretty solid. I pretty much would watch this again. I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up watching it again at some point. But this is too much fantasy going on now. This House of the Dragon, there's Rings of Power going right now. I definitely would watch it again, but it won't be no time soon. So, but yeah, Sandman, 4 out of 5. Really liked it. Solid show. So, The Black Phone is starring Ethan Hawke and Jeremy Thames, and it's directed by Scott Derrickson. So yeah, Ethan Hawke is one of my favorite actors, like working today. Has been for a couple of decades now too. He I'm not gonna say he hasn't made a bad movie, but he's always, every movie he's in, he's been like really good in. Yes, so now Scott Derrickson is a really well-renowned director as far as like horror movies go, and then like horror circles. Directed Doctor Strange apparently. So he did the Sinister movies, which are like the first. I remember the first one way more than I remember the second one. I might have to see the second one again. But the first one was pretty, like, it was just the tone of that was just creep you out. It was one of the most creepiest movies I remember seeing. He also did Deliver Us from Evil with what's his name, Eric Bana in it, which was decent. I don't remember it all that well, but it was a movie. It was one of them. He also did for the scariest movie ever to me, the movie I kind of refuse to watch ever again, Exorcism of Emily Rose. It's based off a real event, and it's too real. It's just too real. I can't watch that movie again. That's the movie. That movie had me sleeping with the lights on for like a week or two. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So just right there, like Ethan Hawke and Scott Derrickson, my ears perk up. You know what I mean? So the Black Phone is based off of a novella written by Joe Hill, who's the son of Stephen King, and it has a lot of the Stephen King tropes in it. It's violent as hell bullies in here. A pretty drunk or just kind of like disturbed dad or like parental figure is in here. But no, it's a very solid flick. Very solid, kind of like dark serial killer kind of flick. And Ethan Hawke just absolutely shines in this. Like, he definitely knows how to play a very like deranged character in this. Like, he definitely was like super creepy. So yeah, the kids in this are pretty good. Like, as just as actors, they held their own like really good. There's Finn there on the left. He's the main kid, or the main kid that kind of gets snatched, and we're kind of going through him. He's the one who has the supernatural stuff happen to like through the Black Phone, and I really like his sister in this. Like, his sister is like really really good in here. She's Madeline McGraw is who plays her. I can't remember her name in the movie, but her name's Madeline McGraw. Playing this, like, I think she's the little sister, but her family unit, I think her mom either disappeared or left or something like that happened, and she plays it really well. You can tell like she's a bit rougher and a bit kind of just older than she actually is. You know what I mean? And yeah, so Finn gets his ass beat like all the time in this movie. Like, I really felt for him at a time, and then towards the end of it, like when it culminates that he has to, he starts fighting back. I think they did that really good. They kind of hint on some like religious factors to this too. The character in here that like has like dreams or has like visions, and she starts connecting that the visions are like trying to like showing her where her, I'm about to give it away, showing her where like the kidnapped kids are, or kind of like little clues or like visions of like where they're being taken and stuff like that. And so she pulls out like a bunch of like crucifixes and stuff, and she like prays to God, like the help me for like give me the correct vision to see and stuff like that. It was surprising to me, like, and it wasn't done in a really kind of hokey way. It was done in kind of a real way, because like when she wasn't getting like the information she was getting, she kind of lashed out, and like in a real way. I think anybody who is on like a Christian walk, when things don't go their way, they kind of do, unfortunately, just kind of lash out and just like in that way and just disavow or just has like this moment where they're just not like feeling very religious at the moment. You know what I'm saying? That was really well done. I like that aspect of it. Yeah, I really like this. Really good movie. I'm definitely gonna watch it again. So one things I didn't like about it or felt this was just kind of dumb was just you have these kids disappearing like daily, left and right, and this is dude who's driving around in an obvious pedal van, driving around town and in full sight, in full view, and the police don't check it out, pull him over, you know. Well, let me just follow this guy and see what's happening with this. Like, yeah, it's this grown man who's trying to be a magician, driving around in this huge black like pedal van. Like, really, you need to have like kids help you solve this. Worst police force ever. Worst police force. It kind of pulled me out of the movie a bit because I'm like, really, for real. Yeah, that was pretty much the only thing I had a problem with in this that just kind of drove me crazy in this. Oh yeah, Matthew Davies. Matthew Davies is in this, and he plays. He had a really kind of hard character to play. He's kind of like, you know, the drunk dad. You know, the drunk down on his luck, like overwhelmed dad. You know, but they didn't go too like typical to it. You know, because a lot of other movies would have had him just go straight up abusive, or you know, he drinks too much and gets abusive or whatever. But there was a method to his madness. I'm not gonna say he was a 100%. I'm not gonna co-sign like his actions 100%, but there was a method to it. Like you kind of see where he's coming from with it towards the end of the movie, you know. And at the end of the day, he really loved his kids. And he wanted to care for him, but he's overwhelmed and he's dealing with a lot, and you know he can't express it the way he wants to express it. Is kind of how I got it, and I think Matthew Davies played it to a T, played it perfectly. Like, yeah, I think he did an excellent job in this movie. Another good thing is the mask. Like the mask in this is because Halloween is coming up in like a month and some change. And I can totally see this being like the new like Halloween mask or like accessory now, because it is, I gotta admit, it is pretty cool. Like, you know, in a couple of ways, right? Like, so, you know, you see a shot where he takes the top part off, and so it's just the bottom part there, and like he could actually take this part off, even though that is just disturbing. Like the little like bottom part, the grin right there is just disturbing. But you know, you can see like in the next one, this is just creepy. But like he could take it apart and he could put like the frowny face part on it too. You know, it's just man, the mask is actually pretty cool. I can totally see this being like the new Halloween must-have, you know, for 2022. Out of 5, I mean, yeah, I could give this a 5 out of 5. It was really good. The tone was really good. The pacing was really good. It was appropriately creepy, like when it needed to be. The ghost kids at the end, they were totally kind of believable, and most of them were sympathetic, except for like that last one. But I totally understood where he's coming from, like, because I think Finn was like saying like, "Why are you helping me?" He's like, "Helping you? Like, F you, I want you to get him." You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I did. Yeah, okay, yeah, I totally understand it. I feel you. So yeah, solid movie, solid flick. I'm definitely going to put this on again, you know, at some point, have it on around Halloween time. It's on my list. So yeah, 5 out of 5. The Black Mask. Definitely watch it. Pick it up. And that is it. That is another week. Another number 2 in the bag. And yeah, thank you for checking me out. If you hung out this far, hey man, I appreciate you. You're a real one. Yeah, so check us out on, or check us out. Check me out on the tube, on the YouTubes. And you know, if you're on a trip, you know, on your way to work or on the toilet, on the can or something, you know, yeah, check out the podcast. It is available pretty much everywhere. You listen to podcasts, basically. Yeah, Spotify, Apple, Google, Audible. Yeah, pretty much everywhere, man. So, yeah, thank you for checking me out. Stop by the YouTube, like the video. Stop by Spotify, Audible, Apple, and Google Pods, and check us out. And we will see you next week. Peace.